Hi guys, it's me Tilly, and today I'm back with another beginner guide for Vindictus. First up, I want to apologize for the long wait since the last video. It was not intended, but real life happened, and I actually kind of recorded this video like 4 times by now, but the audio quality kept bothering me so much, and even in my latest update it was kind of subpar, but I think I fixed it. I think we finally made it, so yeah. Anyway, back to today's topic. Today's topic is something that will actually increase your damage and raids. It will drastically improve the quality of life of your combat, and it's something that you technically should know about because it's part of the main story in Season 3, but hey, if you're one of the 99% of the players that skip the tutorial, I'm not gonna judge you. But with that being said, let's talk about skill awakenings. If you already have like your Dolahan gear, this place will look familiar to you because you are forced to come here once during your story, as I said. And today's topic, yeah, I didn't say it yet, but it is skill awakenings. Skill awakenings, if you hover, or if you go to your skills right here, you can actually see which ones have an awakening to them. If you look underneath their icon, you can see there's these empty boxes on some. On Blink, for example, there's none. But let's hover one where there is such a blank box, and as you can see on the left side it will show you the skill, and on the right side it will show you all of the possible awakenings for the skill. Right here we could use a reduce SP consumption stone, we could use increased damage or increased knockdown rates. Additionally to these 3, there's also reduced cooldown and also reduced stamina consumption, so these 5 are possible. There's also 2 different tiers, a C and a B tier. B tier being the better one, and sometimes also more expensive, but I come to that in a second, or like after I explain the process itself. So, in order to awaken a skill, which by the way is a permanent addition to your character, so you only have to awaken every skill once, you'll either have to come here to request to the Magician's Guild, or you need to use one of the Rabbi whistles that you usually get by doing your daily temporal missions. You click on Town Function Request Dianon, and that's basically the equivalent of entering this building, clicking on Dianon's face, skill awakening again, and here we go. There should be a list of all weapon-specific skills of your character. Since Eevee has 2 different weapons, there will also be some skills that we don't need to awaken yet. But I'll just go ahead and, I don't know, let's use some funky staff skill. I actually, as you can see, I already awakened some because, as I said, I re-recorded the video a few times already. Let's just go with Lightning Wave. I don't know, I kind of like this skill, so let's go with it. If you select it and you can actually hover over it again, it will show you on the right side the possible awakenings. And right now, on my material list, there's only damage stones showing up, because I actually don't own any knockdown rate, but they would also be shown right here. Just select the one that you want to apply on your skill, click the use, and then this window will show up. It's kind of similar to how enchanting works, basically. How the skill is your piece of equipment, the awakening stone is your scroll, and then over here you have your max success rate, which is 45, and you can increase the success rate by using any urges that you get, by doing any battles basically. Every urge will roll a random number between 1 and 3, and that way you can get up to the success rate. Let me just use like some random ones. I'll use 10. Didn't give me like anything. Right here, for example, I could use 10. I'm only 9% off, so I keep using single ones to not overcap by too much, because on my old characters I kind of want to be smart about the way I'm spending materials, and if you're a new player you probably should too. So yeah, let's see right here if we then go ahead without any other premium item and we try and we succeed. That's pretty cool. If you were to fail, by the way, your skill would be kind of locked out from certain things. For example, if you use a B tier awakening stone and you fail, you can only awaken that skill with other B tiers. So be mindful about that. You don't want to instantly go for a B awaken on your most important skill, fail, and then be locked out of. But yeah, as you can see, or as you were able to see, it was kind of cheap actually getting the C tier awakening done. Because if you take a look at this stone right here, it only takes like 4k gold. And the urges that are used, you will get a lot of them by just doing the story. So my recommendation actually is for newer players to get C tier awakening done. Like all of your skills basically, they are rather cheap and they shouldn't be as much of a struggle for you because most of the things you actually get by yourself. Most of the B tiers like SP reduction, stuff like that is not really expensive as well, so you could go for a B tier. But there's one specific thing that I want to mention, and it's the 10% damage stone right here, where it costs 1.5 million. And as a new player, like my EV didn't get any money from my Regina yet, only sitting on 4 million, this 1.5 million is a pretty hefty investment to do for you very early on, especially if you have a max success rate of like 40%, where you could fail it like 3 or 4 times, right? But with that being said, there are these urges right here, and if I look for them right here, you can see there's actually 60% urges. With the 40% base rate, you can actually guarantee your awakening to succeed. Obviously, since it's 3 million right now, you don't want to be using it on any C tier, any lower rank awakening stones. The really only one that is worth using it on is the damage B tier. Right now 3 million is actually quite a bit more expensive than it usually is. When I was doing awakenings on my last character, this stone was actually 1.5 million, which is just as much as the 10% stone, which basically means for the price of 2 awakening stones, I was guaranteed the success, which is something that I think you should keep an eye on. These 30% ones for 450k, for example, they're also pretty good, and they don't guarantee it, but they heavily increase your odds of not failing, right? And you don't want to be failing like 5 of these B tier stones. Yeah, so that's something that you really should keep an eye on. The runes, you could technically use them if you get one for free. They make it so if you fail, you get the stone bag, which is cool for, again, the B tier of damage. For basically 1 million, you get to try again in case that you fail, but it will always be consumed even if you succeed. So you could technically spend another 1 million, which was not needed. So I don't like the runes. The urges, I really much like them, but kind of comes down to how much do you want to gamble. Do you go with the 40%? Do you go with the 100%? Do you go with something in between like 70, 80? That's basically up to you and how expensive they are. On 3 million, I don't know. There's basically 2 more tries to guarantee it. This is kind of tough. I don't know if I would suggest you to buy this one right here. I, for myself, would probably go for a 30%, because it's 500k more, but it makes it so it's 70%, which is pretty good already. So there's one last thing that I want to mention, and it's something that I talked about earlier, where I said skill awakenings are a permanent addition to your character. And that was like semi-true. Let's right-click any of the awakening stones, and this window will pop up. It's the Restore Awakening. What you need to know, basically, is every skill has kind of a number of usages. As you can see, the Lightning Wave is 700 out of 700, Arcane Gate is 700 out of 700, but these other 2 I already used in combat, and they are on 662 and 667 out of 700. Which basically means once I consume these points, I will no longer get the benefits of the Awakening. However, you can just easily restore them. In the past, you had to like right click them, and then you had to select like food, basically food stones, where you go here and you can see basically you can increase the amount of usages. Nowadays that's not needed because you have this lovely tank over here, as I would like to call them, where you would just dump all of your stones into, and then it automatically refills any skill that drops to 0, which is major quality of life that we got like a year ago. So be happy that you don't have to manually refill them 10 times a day. That's what I had to do on Arisha before this was a thing. But yeah, that's basically everything you need to know about Skill Awakening. Again, as kind of a wrap up, a TLDR, Skill Awakening in the early stages using the cheap stones is a really easy way of upgrading your damage. For example, I think on Aira you have like 10 skills literally that you can upgrade with 8% damage, which are almost all of your skills, which kind of makes it so your entire character deals 8% more damage, right? Which is a pretty easy way of getting more damage. On other characters like Bloodlin, and I think also Sword Fiona, there are these SP reduction skills, which makes it just way easier to use your most important skills way more often, which is a huge quality of life boost, as I said earlier as well. So definitely make sure to at least get the awakenings on your most important skills, but more so just get the cheap one everywhere that you can. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video today. I hope you learned something, and again, there will be more videos soonish. We are still kind of preparing for Leafer, and I will have my next Leafer video out next week, so definitely keep an eye out for this, and I will see you there. Have a great one until then, and bye!